Charlie Casserly. You might know him. NFL Network analyst, football consultant, former front office man with the Washington Redskins and the Houston Texans. But with the Redskins, well, actually, in his illustrious career, he gave big contracts to the likes of David Carr. I think that's worth pointing out. And also thought that Blaine Babbert, and that's exactly how I will continue to say his name, Blaine Babbert, should have been drafted ahead of Cam Newton. It wouldn't shock me if he still defends that position. I'm being hard on Charlie. He's a nice guy. He joins the guys in the middays, I think, from time to time. And I'm being kind of a smartass here, but Charlie does know a lot of football. I just question how much he knows about evaluating quarterbacks. Now, Charlie Casserly, and I heard this for the first time this morning, as a lot of you did, had some, what are we calling them, reports about Kyler Murray and meeting with teams in the NFL at the Combine this weekend and his cognitive performance on the board and, well, I guess just his football IQ. It's his leadership, you see? He's not good on the board, you see? He might throw it good, but he's not a leader. He doesn't understand the football X's and O's. See? The Cardinals better draft him first or he's in trouble, see? I mean, Charlie Casserly sounds like he's straight out of Dick Tracy when he's ranting about Kyler Murray there. I don't know how much of this is true. I don't know how many people he talked to. I don't know if he talked to 2 dudes, 5 dudes, 20 dudes, or if this is him being used by somebody. I don't know what this is. Charlie could be giving the straight up honest truth as everybody knows it. I'm really not sure. And I want to be fair to Kyler Murray in this too. Kid just won a Heisman Trophy. He's impressive. The ball comes off his hand, unlike many dudes his size. The way the ball comes off his hand looks and sounds more like a dude who's 6'3", 230. A Dwayne Haskins, if you will. There's a lot going for Kyler Murray. I'm still skeptical that he's 5'10". I'm still skeptical that he's big enough to remain durable in the NFL. But I want to be fair to Kyler Murray. Here's the thing, though. He didn't do himself any favors in the Dan Patrick conversation. He hasn't done himself any favors in a couple of other interviews that he's done. And all of this might be true. Guys have failed Wonderlic tests before or scored poorly on Wonderlic tests before and gone on to be great quarterbacks. There have been brainiacs, who scored incredibly high on the Wonderlic test and, were renowned as being smart, intellectual, cerebral individuals who were surefire locks to be successful franchise quarterbacks in the NFL who went on to do basically nothing, right? So I don't know how much stock we should or should not put into this, but Kyler Murray hasn't done himself a ton of favors. Now, he screwed over the Oakland A's. That's okay. That's his right. He chose to play football, but after agreeing to play baseball, he reversed course and decided to play football. And so for some people that changed their minds about him a little bit, that's probably not fair. And in some of these interviews, he's been bad. He seemed ill-prepared. He didn't sound like he was completely committed to what he was doing. And that's why we said going into the Combine, he's got some convincing to do. He's got some splaining to do, if you will. And that's still the case coming out of this weekend. And what Charlie Casserly said doesn't help his cause. But he's also got his advocates. And Lincoln Riley said some things this morning that I'll play for you coming up after the break that counter what Charlie Casserly just said. But Jonathan Jones, and I'll let you have the last word on this. As much as I like Kyler Murray, and I do hope that he succeeds because it will be good for football and he's fun to watch, I still have doubts, and I would still take Dwayne Haskins ahead of him.
Wow. I'll say this about Kyler Murray. He has an arm like a Tommy gun, you see? No, we have plenty more to talk about with Kyler Murray. And listen, the one thing that I'll say about Charlie Casserly's comments is he talked about leadership, he talked about study habits, he talked about board work, and those were the things that he gleaned from his sources from the Combine. Teams have 15 minutes with Kyler Murray in there. You can't get to know his leadership in 15 minutes.
No.
You can't get to know his study habits in 15 minutes. You can put him up on the board, and you can do things with him on the board, and you can discern if he's good or bad on the board. You can do that in 15 minutes, but the other 2 things, I don't know how you do that in these 15-minute Combine interviews. But an arm like a Tommy gun, see?
I love it. And to be honest with you, how much do his teammates care that he wasn't very good on a radio interview?
Yeah, he's not a good interview.
No.
He's just not. And that's how it's gonna be. He's not a great interview.
And that's not a crime in
no,
and of itself.
It's not. Maybe he gets better, maybe he stays the same way. He's not a good interview.
But it does make you wonder and worry a little bit that the people around him don't have him better prepared for some of the situations that he's been put in. So he's got to take some accountability for that, but I continue to have some doubts. That's Snap Judgment.